On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club Board of Directors, I call to order the 11th meeting of the 61st year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation today, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, will be given by Board Trustee Becky Richard.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I would like everyone, please, to join me in a moment of silence. We have a Carrollton student, Aiden McNutt, who died in the fire. Also, for a moment of silence, the Tuskegee Valley students and chaperones who died in that tragic bus accident. Thank you. Now bow your heads and let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for our club and all of its members. Lord, we thank you for the love of sports. Father, I pray that you bless our speaker and his family, and also bless the members here. Father, please bless this food. I pray that it strengthens and nourishes our body. Father, thank you again for this club. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go Brown!
Thank you, Becky. I also want to express my condolences to those folks from the Tuskegee Valley and Carrollton. Such a tragic event last couple of weeks here in our area. Also want to introduce, obviously you saw our special guest today, Josh Cribbs, who's with us. Also introducing Josh today will be John Kendall, who is our VP of Museum and Archives here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I want to also recognize our club sponsors, Dr. Peter Ferguson, Marion Motley Memorial Fund Scholarship, Alt Care's Primetime Health Plan, Wilkshire Golf, and Liberty Ford. Well, some announcements as far as some good things happening in and around our area. Our high school playoff winners this weekend, Massillon and Canton South. So congratulations to them. It gets tougher and tougher. Massillon will play number 4 Cincinnati Anderson, who's 13-1. They will play at historic Crew Stadium down in Columbus. And Canton South, who's the number 4 seed, will play the number 3 seed, Glenville. South 14-0, Glenville is 11-2, and that game has been moved. It's not in Euclid as previously stated, it is in Wadsworth. So make sure you see that change there. The Buckeyes, big win on Saturday, and they will take on the team up north, Michigan, on Saturday for the 119th time. Both teams are 11-0, and the winner goes on to the Big Ten championship game. So that should be a great, always is the last game of the Big Ten season. And the Browns, a big win yesterday. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that. Brownies are 7-3 and contending for the division title there, so let's root them on as well. I'm sure Josh will have some things to say possibly about that game as well. Want to mention that we'll be back here in 2 weeks, all right? We sold the tickets today for that lunch. Also next week when we're back at Tozzi's, we will sell tickets again for the meeting that'll be here in 2 weeks, and Anthony Munoz will be our speaker on that day. Also want to remind everybody, if you're here today and get a chance afterwards, take a tour of the hall. Your membership card gets you free admission to the hall. So if you get a chance, take a tour. There's some great exhibits, some new ones upstairs some Miles Garrett stuff upstairs, as well as Joe Thomas, obviously, who was enshrined this past summer. So if you get a chance, and also take advantage of your discount in the gift shop as well. All right, our 50-50 drawing today, $252. See Tim Richards and Richard, I should say, and I will have Josh pull the ticket.
Pressure.
But then I make it.
Don't fumble it. Looks like
Alrighty. For $252, 640 170. All right, Tim Richard has money. 170.
You gotta share with the table.
Congratulations. All right. Next week, our speaker will be Doug Uke. He's the executive director of the OHSAA, so he will be at Tozzi's next Monday. So it should be a good event for us as well. Doug Uke. And now to introduce our speaker today from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mentioned him earlier. He is the VP of Museum and Archives. Please welcome John Kendall.
Appreciate the warm round of applause. I know you're not here to see me, so I will be brief, but the man that I want to introduce really needs no introduction from me, but specifically in Northeast Ohio. Kent State quarterback for 4 years. Really, I would say in the pros, an all-around football player. Wide receiver, running back, through passes, gunner, kickoff returner, punt returner, 3-time Pro Bowl selection, 2-time first team All-Pro, and I think one of the, from my perspective, having studied the history of the game for as long as I have and being a part of the selection process, first team All-Decade team of the 2000s, and that is pretty significant. Very few players in the National Football League belong to all-decade teams, and so that to me is something really impressive. Uncle is Joe Cribbs, so Buffalo tie there for those of you who might know Joe or watch Joe play. But without further ado, Joe Cribbs.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Joe Cribbs. Every time I played at Kent State, so every time we played at Buffalo, they would it'd be a lot of Joe Cribbs, a lot of Buffalo fans down there, like, can you sign this from your uncle? I'm like, nah, wait till I do something, then you get my autograph. I have this football thing. And every time I see it, I got a lot of these, but this one was special. It was acquired against the Kansas City Chiefs. When I came into the National Football League, our head coach was Romeo Crennel. And I didn't know if I had a real opportunity to make the team. When I was a kid, I said I just wanted to play in the NFL. I didn't specify what position. So I was a college quarterback, and when I started playing in the NFL, I was like, dang, God, I guess I should have just said I want to play quarterback in the National Football League. I guess I should have been more specific with my dream. But I didn't care, I just wanted to play. So when 30 free agents were invited to rookie mini camp, and I looked around, I was sitting kind of in the front, I got some advice that was like, don't hide in the back, sit up front. So I sat up front, and I looked in the back, and Romeo Cornell said, we got 6 draft picks, so that leaves about 2 spots for about 30 of you guys. And I looked around, I was like, what? He's like, what? Where did that come from? And immediately I was like, well, I'm in that one. I'm one of the 2. When I was in the 6th grade, my Nigerian science teacher, we were coming in from recess all smelly and talking about how we done ran for 3 or 4 touchdowns at recess. And like talking about the football game, and my teacher got up on a board and was like, come over here, sack of bones. He called me sack of bones. I was a skinny guy. And he wrote on the board how many athletes go to high school and play college and play high school football. It was a big number, thousands of numbers, of kids that play high school ball. And then he said, you know how many of that go to play Division I or college football? And he wrote another number on the board, and it got smaller. And from that number, do you know how many actually go to the NFL? And he was like, 0.012% chance. And it got smaller and smaller. And I don't know if you remember that movie Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey. I was like, so you're telling me there's a chance? I was that guy. That's all I needed was an opportunity, a chance. I wasn't watching ESPN all day, every day. My friends were. They were getting upset and always talking about me because I watched Star Trek and sci-fi. They're like, oh, we can't go over Crib's house. He's watching sci-fi. He's watching Star Trek. To this day, they're like, man, what you got on Star Trek? I just wasn't the guy watching football all day, every day. Even now, my wife watches more football than me. And the only reason that is because it was a job. How many of you, when you get off your job, you come home and then start doing your job again for fun? That's how it was for me every day. Once I started playing for the Browns, we were watching film. A lot of times my wife was like, oh, you done playing on that field? It was like football wasn't a real job. It was like we didn't go and actually do work. It was like, oh, I'm here with the kids. And I was like, I was working. Like, oh, you on that field. You know how sometimes it gets. So I had to explain that the era of the dumb jock didn't really exist. Some of you know of how extensive the playbooks are, how much knowledge you have to know. When I got in, you guys know this, I'm finally among a different generation. Our playbooks were as thick as telephone pages, as the yellow pages. Y'all remember yellow pages? That's how thick our playbooks were. And when I got to the league, I was like, how am I gonna digest all of this knowledge? Every day we went there, they would pull out a projector screen. Every day. And then turn the lights out. And we'll watch the practice from the day before. I mean, complete darkness. And me being 21 years old, I'm not a morning person. So what am I doing if you 7 in the morning, you cut the lights off and you get into that monotone voice. All right, today we're going to do this right here. I'm up there like, this is my one opportunity. If I could just, every day. And we had a buddy system going. Like, man, if I fall asleep, man, you gotta. And we nudging each other. Because if you fall asleep, that's 1301. The coach flipped the light, 1301. Because you had your eyes closed, sleeping. Conduct detrimental. So I tried coffee. That's when I became a coffee drinker. I tried tea, still dozing. I tried coffee, cream, using the bathroom every second. Nutritionist said, yeah, I think it's the cream. Straight black coffee. Now the smell of coffee, I'm like a cartoon character. It's like I need it. I hated it at first, but now I had to do that in order to be awake to get the knowledge that I needed to play. So from knowing how extensive, how hard it was to make it to the NFL, right? The hardest. In college, I played with a guy, James Harrison. And I remember the level of difficulty drastically rose from high school to college. I had a red jersey on for the quarterbacks, meaning do not hit me. That's what the red jersey means, like stop. Did you think James Harrison stopped? Nope. We ran an option around the corner. I'm thinking I'm safe. Got the red jersey on. They don't hit quarterbacks. Come around the corner, dish the ball, bang, knock me out. So when I come to, I'm like, Coach. I looked down to make sure I was wearing the red jersey. I'm like, Coach, yeah. He was like, yeah, man. That's our middle linebacker, James Harrison. Yeah. This was Dean Pease. He was like, yeah. welcome football. This is to be D1. I was like, and I didn't have the heart at the time to say, well, why do we have the red jerseys on? Like, what? But it was not the red jersey. It was nobody wanted to go correct James Harrison. That's what it was. So fast forward. I get the opportunity. Romeo Cornell, I'm sitting in that room with 30 guys. Romeo Cornell said, if you can go down the field and beat a double vice and make a tackle on an NFL punt returner, you have a spot on this team. I was like, I'm gonna beat a double. That's me, Coach. What's a double vice? I was a quarterback. I didn't know the terminology. I didn't know anything. I just knew I wanted to play there. So throughout the course of my first year and trying to make the team, I would see people come and go. Like people I was talking real close with, because they throughout the training camp, they would release you. You get cut. You'd be talking to some guy, and this is just the rigors of it. You'll be talking like, hey man, so at lunch, and this, where you go? And he'd be at the door and be like, they got me. And the way they do it is somebody at the door that grabs you, and they simply say, yeah, the head coach wanted to talk to you, bring your playbook. And that's their job. And then you know, you're getting released. The head coach don't want to talk to you, for you're a rookie. They don't care about you. So they say these words to you, head coach want to talk to you, bring your playbook. Because you got to turn in your playbook. One guy who got released, Lance Moore, the receiver from Toledo. He got released and ended up going to the Saints and having a great career. It just let me know that once you left there, it wasn't all over. It was 32, it was 31 other teams that gave you an opportunity. So in my path to get to the Browns, to play and make the team, they had dry erase boards. And once you were cut, they just erase your name. So I would come into the locker room and, safe. And I would see them erasing people's names. And they got smaller and smaller. And I'm out there having fun. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm just having so much fun. Against the Giants, one of our first preseason game, I'm running down on the kickoff like a bat out of hell, just running down, making tackles inside the 20. I loved it. It was football. It was what I did at recess. And I remember the words of the returner that I replaced, Austin, I think his name was. He was like, you cover kicks too? And I was like, you don't? Like, what are you doing here? You know? And then I remember actually getting I paid for his couch. After they released him, I needed furniture. I wanted to stay a while. And I just remember having so much fun. So now when I talk to kids, if I have a different audience, not you guys, but when I talk to elementary kids, I start off, I say, how would you like to go to recess and they pay you millions of dollars to go to recess? And they're like, what? And they light up. And the little girl raised her hand like, you mean I can make $1 million jumping rope? I was like, I gotta watch when I say that. Because every day, I played football for recess and then they paid me really well to do what I did at recess. We had some terrible years with the Browns. I'm preaching to the choir, ain't I? Y'all like, yeah, and. So it made that atmosphere that I grew to love so hard. It's like going to work and you hate people, you hate your coworkers. You know, it's always the coworkers. You're like, I hate going to work because Susie always, or John trying to make me do something. So it was an atmosphere, you know, the atmosphere of losing is not a good atmosphere. So you console with others and you try to have fun with, you know, your groups, or, you know, you try to, you know, go within yourself to try to survive. I did that well in our special teams meetings, our special teams units. It was like our own team, and I hated it because I wanted it to be the whole team. But I couldn't help everybody else if I wasn't on these specific units. I set out to be the best cover guy and the best returner. A lot of times when I was and he said my stats when I came up here, when I made the Pro Bowl as a returner, I also made it as an alternate cover guy because you couldn't make two positions. I love covering kicks more than I love returning. I'm like, man, you trying to hit me? Now it's my turn. Now I get to tackle you guys. So when I received this, for me, it was in search of a goal. My coach looked up at me and said, all right, when I finally made the team, he said, all right, what you gonna do with it? I remember my first touchdown. My first touchdown I scored, I thought I was everything. I seen the fan, it was like a movie. You know those football movies when the lights are flickering and all you hear is, I was like, oh my God, I did it. I mean, so much euphoria, so much greatness. The fans in the stadium, y'all been to the stadium before? It was huge, the pictures, and I was like, they're doing that for me. Then my teammates came, jump in the dog pound, jump in the dog pound. I was like, what's that? And then everybody in the dog pound was like, we're over here. I was like, all right, good. And this is in slow-mo. And I'm going to jump in the dog pound, and I didn't know they had a warning track. I got on cleats. It went from grass to concrete. So I'm going to jump. I hit that concrete, and I jumped anyway like a stupid guy, and I hit the wall, boom. Let me try this again. Then I did it again, I jumped up. I love the Lord, but I felt like him. The fans held me, embraced me, and I wanted it to happen over and over and over and over again. And because of that, this game, I broke the record for most kick returns in NFL history. Twice in the same game. I remember the chaplain that night, he kept saying something every time he talked about Jesus. And his thing was, every time he would talk, he was saying, the Lord will make you, when you pray, he gives you an opportunity to get the things that you want. He's not a magician. They give you the opportunity. If you pray for courage, it puts you in a moment, in a position to be courageous. And then allow you the confidence to be courageous in the moment. So I'm sitting there like, man, I'm praying, I break the record. I got a position. Every time the chaplain made a statement, he would do this. And because he was serious, you know, certain preachers had their thing, right? So every night, throughout the day, throughout the lesson, he would and do these little twitches. And sitting out there listening to him, we kind of like, hey, look at him. Oh, he did it again. hey, why you keep doing that? Y'all see, and athletes, guys, you know, hey, why you keep doing that? So we started to do it. If you Google it, you look it up. When I scored a touchdown, I did this. And they jumped on me. I wish I could show y'all, but if you look it up on YouTube, when I scored against them, the first touchdown, I did one of them moves. So now you know why I did it. Everybody jumped on me. And it was because of what happened. It was an inside thing. because of what happened at Chapel. And that was our own group, my special teams. I remember as soon as I scored, I was like, thank you, God, I took a knee. And you know, back in the day, we couldn't really celebrate. If we could celebrate like they do now, I would have had a whole dance, even though I can't dance, or a team celebration. I don't know, but I didn't grow up in that era. I grew up in the era when you score, do something good, thank God. I mean, that's it. So I took a knee, and I just was giving thanks like, oh, look what I am. I broke the record, most kickoffs for touchdowns in NFL history. Wow, me. And then I did it again. I was like, Lord, you showing off. And even a Kansas City fan was like, man, you're pretty good. Like, and I just was like, that's him, right? And he pointed at me, no, that's you down here. And just understanding that, somebody said a quote, sometimes in life, we have to be careful that we aim for the stars. So I tell the kids, especially in high school, aim for the stars. And don't be careful if you don't aim high enough. Be careful that you aim too low and hit. Don't worry about aiming too high and missing. Be careful that you aim too low and then you hit. And then one day you wake up and be like, I didn't want to be the manager at CVS. I'm about to retire. I had so many ideas. I didn't want to work at McDonald's until I was 60. I had so many ideas. Nothing against those in the service industry, but you guys get it, right? Sometimes you aim too low and you hit. And you had so much more, but that kept you from your greatness. I will sometimes have, getting a little hot, I'm gonna take it off, you mind guys? I love keeping the Browns on, but I'm gonna really quit. I've been working out. I try to always make it look like I can still play, but I cannot. So, there comes a time, every time in our life, right, you guys know this. I have the kids, I have them raise their hands. I'm not gonna do it to you guys. I can't do it. But I have them raise their hands as high as they can, right? And I'm in there with the kids and they raising their hand. And then I say, raise it just a little bit more. And you will notice everybody's hand goes up just a little bit more. And that is the 10%, the 110%. You know how they say, give 110%. And us people that are logical, well, it's only 100%. No, you always have more. We always have more within us. It's a Steelers fan back there that's distracting me. I keep losing my train of thought. Yeah, my hat is backwards. And I'd rather you turn and face this way so I don't see it. You know, when I wear black, I can't put yellow with it. No, I'm serious. When I play for the Browns, even now, I had something, when my hair get all fuzzy and I start wearing little hats, I got a nice yellow hat and I just can't do it when I got this one, when I got something black. And even when I got something yellow on, I'm like, ooh, I'm about to kill him with this. I can't do the black, yellow and black, nah. Let's do the brown or something. I can't wear yellow and I can't put the combinations together. I understand it. I don't know how they let you in. It's over. They're gonna get you after this. Not while I'm talking, because it'd be rude. I almost brought the football when we beat the Steelers. And on a Thursday night, running the Wildcat. Yeah, almost that. But where was I?
10% more.
110%. Thank you. Those are the hits I was taking. I love football. I'm gonna write a book really soon. It's gonna be called To Die For. Because I didn't know that we could die in this. I didn't know that it was a real issue. But I would do everything all over again. I loved getting hit. I loved hitting people. I just wanted them to pick me up afterwards. Help me up off the ground. When we used to play, it was Thursday nights against the Steelers, like I just said, it'd be so cold. We couldn't feel our face. I would hit somebody and I think I'm bleeding. Do you see my face out here? Is it okay? And they look at me like, let me see. Wipe the dirt off. It's okay, am I bleeding? You good? It's good, okay. And I go back in it, because it'd be so cold. And that's how everything would be numb. I would catch cramps from shivering. That's how cold it would be. We out there in spandex, nothing on, because we got paid to do it. But it was so great. It's like when you gotta tell a kid to put a coat on before they go outside. But in the NFL, no one tells us to put a coat on. You just gotta go out there and do it. That's how it felt. The joy. So when we would lose, sometimes I had to rededicate myself to my craft of playing football, to rededicate myself to how much I loved it. One time we lost, we were losing so bad. We were 4-12 that year, but throughout the year, I had to go to a game that was playing, a rec ball game that was playing in St. Ignatius. I saw it on the highway, I'm like, we're gonna pull over there. So I hung it, I stood in the back, had my coat on, it was drizzling a little bit, and I just watched the kids out there. And I was remembering how I started in Pop Warner, just running out there, and you know, when you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a professional player, you want to play football, you want to go to the NBA, you want to play MLB, you want to be every professional, glorious sport there is. You want to be a rocket scientist, everything. But in that moment, I remembered how it felt to play the game that I love. And I didn't care the wins or loss. I make sure that when I look myself in the mirror, I can say, man, I did that. That I gave it all of my ability. That I laid it all out there on the field. And for me, that was the moment. I had to time myself. I got a couple more minutes because I can get long-winded. The coaches on our team, when you lose, I had issues with certain coaches, right? That I wasn't used to in the NFL. Because in the NFL, the coaches, they coach the starters. So if that was all my rookies and they weren't playing and these were all my starters, I'm talking to them. My back is to the rookies, I'm getting these guys ready. I had a coach tell me when I made a mistake, he said, I'm gonna cut you before they cut me. I got kids in college. I was like, oh, well, you just a big man, aren't you? I didn't say that. I just sat there and took it. Like, all right, okay. And then when I started scoring touchdowns, that same coach said, they gonna cut me before they cut Cribs. That's how I was learning the business of it. Productivity breeded leniency, because it was a business. I didn't grow up in that type of football sports environment. We grew up in the all is one for all. Not to see certain player, I'll let y'all think about who this was. I remember a certain player was like, the coach was like, oh, get out of here on time. It's 12 o'clock, you're supposed to be out here. And that player said, man, 18-5. And kept walking. 18-5 was his signing bonus. And I was like, looking at him, looking at the coach, like, get him. And nothing happened. And I just got $5,000 to sign with the Browns. And I thought I was rich. The coach came and said, we're gonna give you $5,000. I was like, and I in my head, it sounded like $5 million, but he said 5,000. And it was like, he's just doing a favor. He ain't have to do it. Like, he gave 5,000. And it was almost as if he took it out of his pocket. Like, how much I say? But for me, it was everything. Dream come true. Moment. So guys, my path was so unorthodox. I got married in college at 19 years old. I had my daughter was born when I turned 20. And I've been married for 21 years. Yeah, y'all clap that. All the men don't clap. But let the ladies clap it up. The men, y'all just send me your condolences. I'm just joking, because my wife ain't here. I get to say what I want. I know she's somewhere like, But it was the opportunity for me of a lifetime to get to play in front of what I believe to be the greatest fans. And what makes our Browns fans the greatest fans is because we haven't won and they still here. There are stadiums in the NFL, and after this I'm opening up for questions. There are stadiums in the NFL that they had to put hot tubs in the stadium to draw fans out. Jaguars. They had to put hot tubs in Florida and make it a party scene just to draw fans out. And now you see they play a lot of their home games in London because of fandom. We never had that problem here. In some games, they don't even show the game in the city. Picture us having a Browns Steelers game and the game ain't on TV because not enough people are in the stands. Picture that. That happens. And yet we haven't generally, before the good old days, won in this era since the team came back. I recently found out why they called the cardiac kids from this season. I reached out to people on social media. I was like, hey, Browns fans, can y'all give us my heart medication? I tweet like that during the game. I said, it's on the cabinet upstairs. Can you hand us because the anxiety that I get now, the way that my chest feels during these games, I'm like, cardiac kids. Because I feel like I'm going to have a cardiac arrest. But that's the fan. That's how important it is. That's all football. That's what it means. So to you guys that are Browns fans, not you. Wait for the Steelers to come up. But to the Browns fan, I thank you from the bottom because after making it there, I needed your motivation to sustain me. I would see Browns fans all over the street when I go pump my gas. Hey man, that was a good game. Yeah man, let me pay for that game. They pay for my gas. I'm like, no, they pay me enough. Browns fans, blue collar. I want to open it up to questions, guys, because I don't want to ramble too much. That's 30. I want to open this up to questions, and if anybody think of some questions that you will have for me about either this season or when I played, the financial aspect of playing the game hit me. I was 21 when I got out, and I didn't know about taxes and everything. And I was cashing every one of my checks at the bank. And the teller looked at me and was like, you want to get direct deposit? And I looked at her and said, nope. I want all the cash. That was my mindset. I was like, no. And I sat there and watched them count their money. Like, because that was what it meant to be in the NFL. I'm like, hey. 2005, I used to make, they say this is something you're supposed to tell people, because we're all grown. 2005, I used to make after taxes about $8,000 a week. To me, I'm like, I'm rich. But no, I wasn't. But I used to cash every week and go to the club. I was in the NFL with all my friends. Get whatever you want. We're in pictures holding bottles of champagne. I'm living the life. And then Dennis Northcutt comes up to me and says, hey, Rook. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I'm telling my friends how we just had a night out in the town, just partying. He said, you know, we don't get paid after football season, right? I was like, I know that. He's like, oh, okay, because I was seeing you spending money and you out at the club. All right, man, I didn't know that. I was like, when he walked away, I was looking like, oh my gosh, my heart dropped. I was like, how many weeks do we got left in the season? I was like panicking. We had, it was the 10th or 11th week, and I was like, I got about 5, I have a month to collect money to help sustain me to the rest of, for the whole year. I was blowing every dime I made. I bought a car. I bought my wife a car. Put a bow on it and everything. And I was a rookie making minimum. And I needed to save. So long story short, I had to start learning how to budget. And I did a real good job after that. You would be proud of me. Maxed out my 401k, investments, I grew up really quick because the fear of making it to that level and then becoming a statistic that everybody, oh, they all go broke in divorce. That's one thing I just did not want to do. I didn't want to go broke and I didn't want to have a divorce. So all the problems that I had in my marriage, I said, I don't care, we're gonna stay together. What we gonna do? I'm sorry, babe. I'm on bending knees. What I gotta, let's see the financial advisor. I made those two things work. My finances and my marriage. And I celebrated, like I said, 21 years this year. All right, guys. We got time for some questions. I hope y'all enjoyed some me speaking. Go ahead, right there in the back.
Relate the toughest loss you ever experienced.
In football?
Yes.
The toughest loss. I don't want to bring the Steelers into this. Because I don't want to give them the satisfaction. Can you do like this? Most of the games I scored in, we lost. Most of my touchdowns came off the Steelers. Because of Browns fans. I had about 3 or 4 touchdowns off the Steelers. But we lost those games. I ran 1 touchdown back about 95 yards, got caught at the 5, shoestring. I was so upset. And then I ran another touchdown in that same game. And we were up 10 points with 8 minutes left. And somehow, Ben Roethlisberger. And our fans were so upset. And our soul was like, ugh. Those were some of the worst losses I could ever have, is to the Steelers. Kept losing to the Steelers. They had some great teams though, but those games were still, that's why I'm so hard on that guy. Just kind of, your hat and everything.
Yeah, did you bother to talk to James Harrison? And if you do, is it pleasant?
It is. He hit me, he gave me a concussion one game.
That's right.
And his mother, no one saw that, came and smacked him in the head. That gave me a lot of satisfaction. She hit him pretty hard, man. She was like, that's your quarterback. She was really loud. She's from Akron. She was really like, son, that's your quarterback. And hit him really good. I was like, oh, you good. I'm good. Forgive me. I talked to him real quick. James Harrison, you know how in college you host rookies, incoming guys, you want them to go to your school? We had a freshman that was trying to woo to come to Kent State. And we took him to James Harrison's house. I don't know why we did that. And he slammed a bottle of 151 on the table, like alcohol, and was like, drink that! And we said, yeah, you better drink that. And he was like, I don't drink. I'm like, yeah, Jay, he just kidding. He doesn't drink. I'm like, yeah, he don't drink. He said, drink that right now. So we told him, yeah, you better drink that. And he didn't come to Kent because of it, that guy. But James Harrison, he was that linebacker of linebackers. I wish we had him on the Cleveland Browns. He was the guy that we were at the Pro Bowl, and he was looking like he was about to play a game. I'm like, man, we got hula shorts on, man. We in Hawaii, man. Had to lighten up, man. He was like, what's going on? I'm like, nothing, man. Our families. We're in Hawaii. There's a beach. He was always on 10. That kind of linebacker mentality that you never can get out of your head. That's James Harrison for you. Go ahead. I got stories for days.
What teammate did you most look up to or gave you the best advice?
Joe Joravicious. It was some really bad time, but he had just came off a Super Bowl contending team with Seattle, and then he came to the Browns. And Joe Joravicious is from this area. And it had got really bad with the team. Coaches were really, like, I used to get cursed out by coaches, and it wasn't a coaching mentality. It wasn't like, man, you ran a dagger, you were supposed to run a dig, and you know, there was no coaching behind it. You know, at times it was so bad, coaches used to cuss us out and just stare at you like they wanted to fight. And it was a bad atmosphere, like, oh, you come in, like you was in the street. And it was like, and would look at you like this as you walk. And I'd be jogging back like, hey man. And then Joe Joravicious pulled us, a few of us to the side and was like, look, this is not indicative of the NFL. That's just these guys right now, because we're losing. Hang in there. You're doing a good job. Keep balling. And that kind of sustained me. Like, that they're an anomaly. That this guy is an anomaly. That this is not how, you know, that it's not the NFL. And it wasn't. It got much better.
When the special teams position came open,
I'm sorry. Okay.
when the special teams position came open a couple of years ago, did you apply?
No. So I was on the Browns in 2018. I coach often. I coach every year for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. That's in California, and I'm the special teams coordinator. I'm so diehard about special teams, like such a guru. Like I love it. But it's very political with coaching in NFL. It's, if you're a coach, you're going to have your buddies coach with you. It's going to be everybody you know. And you're going to bring your guys that you can be around every day and go to war with. So it's like a tight-knit group of guys and girls, people who you know. And sometimes that can get a little weird because you're not hiring the best all the time. But when it comes to the Browns, when I coached here, I found out I would have to go somewhere else to coach. Just because of the fandom, every time I had a cubicle, they would bring all the season ticket holders there. I would take pictures. I'm like, I'm getting ready to coach this guy. I gotta go to practice in a little bit to coach and teach. And I wasn't being used as a coach. I was free, like, hey, they go Chris right here, come over here, photo op. So for me, as it relates to the Browns, I would have to go elsewhere to be taken seriously as a coach and not like as a mascot or, you get what I mean, as a rah-rah for the fans. I would have to go and solidify myself so that people won't think like, oh, they gave him a job because he cribs. Of course they gonna give him a job. I would have to come back already with validity. That, oh, he was the coach in Houston, or he was the coach in Seattle. Oh yeah, bring cribs in. So I need to come with validity first.
What other sports in high school did you excel in?
Thank you. Man, I was a basketball, baseball, swimming, track, and football. I lettered in all of them. Baseball was my first sport. I thought I was going to go to college and play baseball. I had a scholarship to Texas, and before something really changed my mind, I had a tryout in high school. I used to travel all over the country to play baseball, and so me and a friend, he was better than me in football. I was the better baseball guy. We had a tryout, like 100 kids. He made it. He got signed out of high school, played for Anaheim Angels, AAA team, and I didn't. And I was so distraught because everybody knew I was the better baseball player. Even him, he was like, man, I can't hit your fastball, I can't hit your slider, and I was a catcher and shortstop. And I was that guy. I was batting third or fourth, depending on the team. Had a bunch of home runs in high school. I mean, I was him, to the best of my knowledge. And I was distraught because my friend got a $15,000 signing bonus in high school, and I had to watch him come to school every day with new clothes on and new shoes on, and it was like in my face. I was like, man, I'm taking my football scholarship. So not a lot of people know that I was a baseball guy. And I went to Kent because Kent State used to go to the tournament every year in baseball. So I'm like, I'll play football and baseball. That never happened because they had so many games and I was a quarterback and I was in business and I needed a true off season to get caught up on my work. But yeah, baseball was my first sport, then football, then swimming, then basketball. Track was just because I could, we ran track. That was mandatory.
Real quick, I'm a military retiree, you're a professional athlete. When you had to hang up your cleats, how did that mentally affect you that you weren't going to be on that field again? Many of us, when we have to hang up our guns or our boots, we struggle to find our purpose. You're obviously doing very well for yourself now. Was there a struggle time in there between you, the wife, 21 years? My wife and I have been together for 27. She's been through all of it with me. I'm just curious how you as a professional athlete made that transition and what did you do?
Thank you for your service. I'm a Marine. So if football didn't make it for me, I was going to be a Marine. I was also in the ROTC. I was on the armed drill team in high school. I used to flip their rifles and everything for competition.
You and I need to have a discussion.
Yeah, 1903, my 1903 Springfield, I was the first sergeant. So that was my life, because my parents. My dad was in one of those Marine commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the 80s. He did 2 tours in Vietnam. They didn't let my mom fight. They didn't let women fight back then. But she outranked him, and I love hearing them bicker about that.
For the record, your father probably thought that was the sexiest thing ever.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. He was a helicopter gunner too. But I have a lot of his old Vietnam stuff in the case, like his magazines and everything. Like I love it. I love war movies. But to your point, I was depressed about 2 years. 2 years, I stayed in Cleveland. People never knew I was here. They're like, oh man, we glad you came back. I was like, yeah man, I had to, but I never left.
Never left.
I was in my guest room, just playing video games, dark. Till one day my wife came in, she breathed life back in me. Man, you cribs! And you go down there and you get, that's when I went to coach for the Browns. I got pushed. My wife told me to get out the house. She came in there and was like, this ain't it. Like, we not just gonna sit around here and do nothing. You have a name, you have an education. You're meant for more, you're greater. You played football for what, 10 years? Like you did you've been successful your whole, and she just was yelling at me. And I kind of was like, man, I know. I was like, no, get up, come on. If I have to call there, it's gonna embarrass you. Go down there and work for that team and breathe some life into yourself. I can't believe, she just got on me. She was sick and tired of seeing me in this place. Cause misery loves company sometimes. I love to hear bad stories like, yeah, me too. So for me, I would have vivid dreams, either of catching and trying to do something that would wake me up. So in my dreams, they'll be so real that I'll try to catch a return and run it back. But as soon as I try to act on anything, I would wake up. So my last game was a deflate game. I was with the Colts. It was the AFC Championship, and I muffed the punt. That was my last play. Me getting all these accolades for the Browns, I don't like to talk about it. But my last play was a muffed punt. My last play was a muffed punt. So it took a while for me to have to be able to say that. Even now, I'm like, it still hit and sting because I haven't said or talked about it in a while. And it was like, they brought me there to shine. When I first got there, I scored a touchdown immediately. And they was like, the Chris is back. I used to stand on the back of the end zone because they changed the rule. I used to stand just like this on the back of the end zone. And if I could catch it going forward, yeah, we coming out. And they all knew. So my first punt return, I took it to the house for the Colts. My first kick return, I ran all the way back to the 45. and it was just like, erupt. Made it to a playoff, won that. Got to the Deflategate against the Patriots and muffed the punt. Never played another down. That was my last play. Muffed punt, crucial moment. And I went into that dark place. And it took a village, it took a family to get me out of the dark. And to be able to tell my story and how I live. Because it was, I was Cribs. Cribby. Everybody used to call it, and then it just was over. It was just over. I still have vivid dreams that I'm late for a meeting, and I always have this joke that if I was being chased by police, I would just lead them to the Browns facility, run in, and be like, I'm here on time, but I gotta go downtown. Because the fine would be cheaper for the police than it would be for the team. You miss a team, that's $7,000. Miss a meeting, that's $7,000. Police is, I don't know. Y'all can tell me whoever led the police chase. But a lot of the players get depressed because they built their whole lives for that moment. It happens and then it's over. Average career for an NFL guy is 2.3 years. 2 years, 3 games. That's why they make you vested. You're eligible for 401k and benefits after 3 years. Because they don't expect a lot of the guys to still be there. So the turnover is real. In the back.
How impressed are you with this Browns team?
I'm very impressed. We keep winning. Just find a way. That's why I talked about the cardiac. Because I try to not put my emotion into it, but I can't help it. And I turned the game off so many times yesterday and turned it right back on. I ain't gonna watch it. All right, turn it back up. That's me all throughout the game. Every time something bad happens, I get the remote. Hey, what we doing today? We okay? Grab the remote, see what they have. That's me all throughout the game. So I'm excited about this team. I'm devastated about this team. I'm joyful about this team. I'm broken about this team. You get it? I'm a Browns fan. That's kind of typical. I feel like that. I hope you can make sense of what I just said. But it's ups and downs. They keep me. I love that we get to talk about playoffs. It was a time we just win the game. Come on. It's the Steelers. Just give us that. It's the Steelers. We won the Steelers one year. We were 6-10. We beat the Steelers. We were on the floor of the Cavs game. All the fans in the Cavs were like, yeah, they were the Browns. Sitting on the floor, on the wood, because we beat the Steelers. Yeah. And you see, I don't know if y'all been seeing Myles Garrett. He's a minority owner in the team now. And he gets the ovation. And you should have seen the ovation he got last night, beating the Steelers. Go ahead, baby. Back there. I thought you had one.
First time they've ever beat the Ravens and the Steelers back to back.
In the history of the organization. So they're already making marks on history. My bar for this team is playoffs. If they can get to the playoffs, then I can be like, okay, anything happens in playoffs. But if they get there, I'm good. Whatever happens after that, I'm good. You made it to the play. You made it to postseason. That's the goal. Yeah, everybody want to play in the Super Bowl. Everybody. But it's tough to get to the playoffs. They still have a little road ahead of them with a backup quarterback. I ain't too sold on them. Just find a way. They have to just find a way.
How about Stefanski, good, bad, indifferent, play calling, etc.?
He's a better head coach than he is a play caller. He's getting better. He's getting better as a play caller as well. Y'all understand, y'all know Browns fans, we don't give a lot of slack. If we all had dogs, that leash would be real short. They'd be, let me go. Browns fans, we don't We're so critical, and we have to know that of ourselves. He called a dynamite game. One bad call, 3rd and 3. And that's debatable. Does one call make or break a whole day? Sometimes it does. If it loses the game, that 3rd and 3, run the ball.
Yeah.
But he coached a heck of a game. But he's finding a way through all these injuries, right? All these injuries that we have, quarterbacks, all these guys going down, and we're 7 and 3. That says a lot. Because whatever they're doing, they're finding a way, and that's the most important part. They're turning to win. One more question, guys. Go ahead.
Word is they signed Joe Flacco this morning.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
So I love the fact that they're bringing in a veteran to help mentor, because once Deshaun goes in surgery, he won't be out on the field a lot. He's going to be recovering. So they're bringing in a veteran in order to mentor these young quarterbacks. However, if he gets the opportunity to play, which it seems like he may need to, in the AFC North and in postseason, you don't just need a quarterback who can throw good balls in the pocket. You have to have a semblance of mobility. We have to have a quarterback who can throw, but can also run out of the pocket to make something happen with your legs, at least a little bit. You gotta be able to run up the field and try to scramble in this division. We had the toughest division in football, the AFC North, where just last week, every team was in the playoff picture. Not so much now, but my point is he has to be mobile. We had to have gotten a quarterback that was a little mobile, that not just could throw, but was mobile as well. Because if the guy's not there, this read not there, by the time you get to your 3rd read, you're either throwing it away, or you're going to run and try to get what you can and keep the chains moving. I don't see where he can run and get the chains moving. Everybody's not going to, the later you get in playoffs, the corners are going to be covering our wide receivers. You're going to have to make something happen with your legs, and I don't think he's that guy to do that. That's my only problem with that. My hamstring said no. The way my ankles and knees crack every time I walk up the steps, the way my back is, my son always comes to my bedside to help me up out the bed, and he likes to pretend. I don't need that much help. But he said, I'm getting practice. He's like, come on, Dad, it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, boy, get out of here. It's okay, Dad, it's okay. I love it because I'm gonna need that one day. I'm like, go ahead, get your practice in. I love doing that with my son. But guys, I just want to say thank you so much. It is overtime. Thank you for listening to me.